Cancer touches nearly every American life in one way or another, but there may be new hope in sight. Since 1990, death rates due to cancer have gone down nearly 25%. Here to tell us why is one of the key players in the fight against cancer over the past decades. In fact, 50 years he's been in that fight, Dr. Vincent Devita. He's author of this book, The Death of Cancer, and might be one of the most important books of the year. Dr. Devita, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
First off, if I got cancer in the 60s, how would I have been treated?
Well, surgery was the main treatment then, and that was practically the only treatment. Radiotherapy was available at the time, too. And if that didn't work, then you died from it.
Then progress began to be made. When did progress when things start changing?
In the late 60s, we began to realize how we could use chemotherapy to get the cells that had escaped. Those are the cells that kill patients, the cells that escape from the primary site. So by 1970, we knew we could cure advanced Hodgkin's disease and childhood leukemia with combinations of drugs.
And when you started pushing for these different ways to outsmart the cancer cell, what were they telling you?
Well, let's see. They were met with skepticism, I should say.
They called it quackery.
Yeah, well, butchery was the term that was used because it was, children bled to death in those days because their marrow was compromised. So the wards were a bit gory, and nobody believed you could cure cancer with drugs. So they had funny names for it.
So when things really started getting better, to the point where prostate cancer mortality rates up to 65%, colon cancer 48%, leukemia 75%. What was when did you really start making progress?
Well, it happened incrementally. These data, by the way, are the most recent data, but the most recent data are always 5 years old because we have to collect them, and it takes a while to collect them. So it's actually better. When we measure 2015, they'll actually be better than this.
Right. So why are you so hopeful now in your book that things are about to really turn the corner?
We're seeing things. For example, we have found a way to unleash the immune system that we didn't know about before. It drove us nuts for many, many years because we couldn't figure out why the immune system didn't recognize cancer cells as foreign and attack them. But now we know. In 1996, a fellow named Jim Allison discovered what we call checkpoints. And now we have drugs that can attack those checkpoints and make your own immune system attack the cancer.
So we're just even though we found it in 1996, we're just starting to use immunotherapy now.
It takes that long to develop the drugs that result as come out of these discoveries.
So we watched Jimmy Carter. You know, he's an older man. Comes out and says, I have brain cancer, and it doesn't look good. He comes out a month later and says, I'm in remission. Yeah. And that's just part of the reason we're hearing some of these stories. So how do we lace together all the progress we're making across the country and across the world, so to make the person in New Hampshire able to be cured, have as good a chance of being cured as the person in New York?
Well, I think the war on cancer has been a great success, and I think everybody should be optimistic. There's so many new things coming along. 5 years ago, Jimmy Carter would have died by now. So here he is, a 91-year-old man getting good quality life with the application of new technology, right. And I think it should be available more widely. And
it was an experimental drug. You say that with as much progress as we made, it bothers you so much because you lost your son in 1979
yes.
to cancer, and he'd be alive today with some of the new therapies that are out there. So it's a personal thing for you. If it wasn't personal enough, at the age of 80, still teaching and still writing books with your daughter. So you say we could have made more progress. The FDA stands in our way. I keep hearing this from everybody in your business.
Yeah, we need the FDA. We don't want them to go away, but we want them to get out of the way. And for cancer is a special disease. It's the most curable chronic disease, but it's also the most fatal chronic disease. And I think we need to develop drugs in a more modern way. Now that we sequence the human genome, we have all these targets to go after. We need to approve drugs based on their ability to hit a target if they're safe. And the FDA is a little slow to do that. So, yes, I think they could do better.
They could do better, but you've done a lot. Dr. Vincent Devita, Jr., thanks so much for joining us. And I love what you said at the end. If your doctor tells you he can't help you, find another doctor.
Yeah, thanks.
That's a great message for everyone out there today.
Thank you. Nice.
All right, doctor, thanks so much.